Have you ever heard the quote that necessity is the mother of change? You will never grow and change as much as in a moment when you need to.
Hey guys, this is Elijah Vargas from the Goalswell Podcast. Can you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Dominick from Colorado.
Hell yeah, dude. We're both Creighton students, obviously. For those that have been paying attention to the podcast, what are your plans for Easter break?
I'm actually gonna go home over Easter. Gonna go see my family. That's probably maybe do a little bit of work while I'm home, and then see some friends because I know my spring break didn't line up with a lot of my friends' spring break, but Easter's kind of like a holiday, so I should be able to see people then because everybody will be home. So
That's really good, dude.
Yeah.
I haven't been home since winter break, so I really miss my friends. I haven't been to work since summer break, so.
no, I got a little work in over winter break. I was gonna get some in on spring break, and then I spent the whole break replacing the shocks on my car. So.
Oh man, dude,
Yeah.
that sucks. So where do you work?
I work on a ranch.
On a ranch?
Yep.
Oh, I think I remember you telling me that
Yeah.
about that. What do you really like? What does your job like entail there?
My typical answer is like everything under the sun because I'm the only person who works there. But more specifically, I'll fix fences, clean out stalls. I hay the field, usually once, sometimes twice a summer, depending on how everything grows. I'll take care of the cows. I'll run. My boss has like a big cattle ranch out in one part of Colorado, and like his house, which has like the rest of his animals and another part, so I'll run stuff between the two and just like do a lot of property maintenance or whatever.
Yeah.
And just get like supplies.
Okay.
So a lot of fixing stuff, getting stuff ready, moving stuff. So
That's cool, dude. Is it just cows, or is there like horses
So,
and other types of like large cows?
he ranches cows, but he also has like for more like he has goats, chickens. He has a horse, but over winter break when I was there, she was off at like the trainer, so I didn't see her
Okay.
then. And then he has a dog, cats, and stuff. So there's other animals, but like the cows are what he ranches. The other animals are like kind of just more there for like I don't want to say the aesthetic, but they're more there just like for the family, I guess. Like
Yeah.
the,
For,
they
like,
eat-
food.
Yeah, they eat
Yeah.
like the chicken eggs or whatever. I don't remember why he got the goats. I think it was kind of on a limb, but
For the milk or something?
no, they just bother me all day mostly. But they're there, so
That's funny, dude. Can you do me a favor? Can you bring the mic a little forward?
yeah, like that. That good.
Yeah, that's
Awesome.
good. That's all good. All right. So, how did your spring break go? Because I know that was only a few weeks ago.
Again, kind of differently than I expected. I flew home, so I kind of got in late that night. I ended up on the same flight as a couple of friends I had who also live in Colorado, so that was nice. We kind of hung out in the airport on our way there, and then I went home and kind of just chilled that Sunday, just like recover from spring break. And then that Monday, I went in, I think it was Monday. I actually went in and started assistant wrestling coaching at my old club while I was there home too, and that was at nights. So I did that, and then my wrestling coach kind of helped me. He was like, "Hey, do you want to replace the shocks on your car?" Because it was a project we'd been talking about. So we went and like got the stuff that Tuesday, and then got 3 of them done on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday we tried to get the 4th one done, and we couldn't get it off. Thursday we tried to get the 4th one off, couldn't get it off.
Yeah.
And then on Friday, we went to the Air Force Academy has like lifts so that you can like only veteran or active duty only access, but my coach is active duty, so he got us in there. Lifted the car up and we literally cut the shock off. So
Damn.
then we replaced it. But
What kind of car?
I have a Toyota RAV4. So.
Oh, okay.
But I live dirt roads, so everything gets rusted.
Yeah.
As all get out. But then I ended up driving back here after spring break. But so didn't get to work like I was planning to. Didn't see my family as much as I probably would have wanted to. But I got that done. That was a big project.
That's good.
And
That's
then probably saved a couple $1,000 because we put in like higher end shocks. So it would have been a couple
Yeah.
$1,000 at a store.
That's always good, dude.
Yeah.
My little brother, actually has been getting into cars recently. It was partially because last year they were talking about like completely eliminating our like autos program at our high school. And so like I wasn't in the class.
Yep.
But I was begging the teacher to like if I could like get in the class like the last semester, just to like learn as much as I can before like they take it away. And dude, I learned so much like about like engine parts and like all different things. I like right before I got there, like the semester before, they learned how to do oil changes and like all types of stuff, like change tires. And I think my brother's learning all of that this year, and I think that's so sick because you save so much money with that, right?
Yeah, you save a ton of money, and like the cost I paid for the parts and then just doing it with my coach's help, I still saved way more money than I would have if I had like a shop put in like the lower end parts. So even like nicer stuff. So even like just working with him, I saw kind of the same thing you were talking about, like how to do a lot of that stuff. My dad had shown me how to change oil before, how to replace like engine filter, cabin filter and stuff. But like it makes a lot more sense than whenever I used to bring my car into the mechanic, they led me to believe. They made it sound a lot more complicated than it was.
Yeah, they always.
And I'm
do
looking
that.
at it, I'm like, this is like Legos. I just unscrew this thing, pull this thing out, and then switch it. Like,
yeah, dude, I want to get more like car educated because a lot of those, dude, there was a ton of car kids at my school, and some of those are like my favorite people.
No, I had a lot of people who were car kids at my school too.
Dude, those are the best. Those kids are the best. I like to just like sit around, talk to them about like different mods they put on their cars and like all this shit, and I'm like, yo.
I was still not a car person, but like saving the money, that's totally worth it for me.
Yeah.
So like either gotta make enough money where I don't care anymore, or gonna keep doing it to try to save money. So
yeah, of course. Okay, so now that we've gone through that a little bit, we're about 7 minutes in. I want to go into your background. As a lot of people know in these podcasts, I like to go through your people's backgrounds just to, so people can understand why I'm talking to you. Hopefully they can learn a thing or two. But so I know you grew up in Colorado. Like, what was your town like where you grew up?
It was a cold, stormy night. No.
Oh, no way.
So I am actually the only one of my siblings to have lived in two parts of Colorado. My parents were both active duty up until I think right before I was born, and then they ended up retiring because they wanted to both be there when I was growing up. So I lived in like the area near base for about a year, which I don't remember, but then I ended up when my mom got pregnant with my sister, we ended up moving to a house out kind of in the country, actually near where I work now. But I kind of just grew up there, and so I loved it out there. I would grow up out there again if I could, but it was interesting because I knew a lot of my friends lived close to other kids, so they could go see other kids and hang out or whatever. I did not have that. All the people around us were old, lots of old people. So a lot of like open space, like kind of woods and stuff.
Yeah.
There's a mini mountain, big hill behind my house that I could go hang out on and whatever, but there wasn't a lot of kids. So I had like my siblings and then whatever I could figure out to do on my own. But so that was kind of like where I grew up in Colorado, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But then like fast forward so many years, more kind of along the lines of, I guess, what a lot of the other people on this podcast, I started wrestling in second grade, somewhere in there. Wasn't super serious about it, but at that level, you don't really need to be. Like, so I had enough innate talent to kind of get me through it with not a ton of work, just put in work at practice and then go out on the mat and not be scared. And then, so that was fine. Middle school was kind of where it started to change. You actually had to start putting in work or whatever to figure stuff like that out. I had to learn, work on my technique and everything. And then high school was probably the really big shift. I still did pretty well in middle school, but then high school, especially the first couple years, I kind of got my ass beat a lot. I think I won one small tournament my freshman year, and then didn't really win a ton of matches, kind of went 0-2 a bunch. Sophomore year, I kind of started to even out a little. I'd go like 2-2, but never really won anything. And then I'd started to do club, but I hadn't really found like I think this will make sense, but like that club, like I hadn't found like the one that kind of like worked with my learning style or like how I felt about wrestling. Like I'd tried other clubs, I'd learned some stuff, tried some stuff. The coaches helped me improve little aspects. I learned some moves that I still ended up using, but like none of them really like helped me figure out what it was with me that I needed to do. And then I kind of met the coach I stuck with afterwards, who in my summer before my junior year, who kind of like started pointing stuff out to me, like, hey, this is what you're doing wrong here, this is. And he was actually the same coach who helped me with my car over break, but
so there was definitely bonding there.
No, I would,
eventually.
Yeah, eventually. He yelled at me a bunch, totally deserved it, but he ended up doing that. I started winning more matches after that junior year. I don't think I won any tournaments, but I'd start going to like semifinals or whatever, being like right there, almost there. I ended up going out to Adidas Nationals that summer, or that spring. It would have been March, April, somewhere in there, about now. And I ended up taking 5th. I took 5th out there that year. And so that was kind of like that.
Can you remind me, what year is this?
This would have been my junior year of high school.
Oh, okay. Dude, no, that's crazy.
No, so did that. Ended up coming back, did some freestyle after that. Did not do very well at freestyle. I was not very good at freestyle, but it did help my folk style, which is what you do in high school a lot. Like I learned a lot there about like footwork, mat control, and everything, and like pressure was a big one because you get thrown a lot in freestyle, so you have to be able to feel that out a lot better. And then I did some preseason national tournaments. I placed at one of them, didn't place at the other. I don't remember what I placed. I want to say it was like 4th or something. But I ended up in the one I didn't place at. I ended up beating a kid from Colorado who was ranked and had like placed at state the year before. So I kind of had that going for me going into my senior season, which a lot of matches. I think I placed at every tournament but one, and won 6 tournaments, something like that. And then took 2nd in regionals, and then the kid who beat me in regionals, I beat in the semifinals of state before taking 2nd. Yeah. Actually, I think. I am in fact wearing my state championship sweatshirt. So
dude, that's sick.
Went to the finals of state. I choked. It was bad.
Oh.
It was not good. Kid was really good, but he beat me by way more than he should have. It should have been a really close match.
Yeah.
And I kind of choked. I was like, it didn't work. Wasn't ready for it, but it's fine. And then I went out to Adidas Nationals again that spring. This is senior year still. Took 3rd there. And then ended up, after that, I started touring colleges and everything. Got offered spots on a couple teams, and then
you chose the one school that doesn't have wrestling.
Yeah, because it was probably one of the hardest choices I ever made, because all the schools that offered me spots were like business school, more art school, finance schools, and I really wanted to do pre-med. And so I had to like kind of choose between, do I want to keep going with wrestling, or do I want to like go more along the route I was planning from a college point? Like, do I want to try to do that pre-med track and like go that way? Because it was annoyingly divided. There wasn't like a school that had a good enough med program and wrestling. It was very divided, and like mostly what I guess my logic reasoning through it was like wrestling doesn't have a ton of upward mobility. Like basketball, at least, football, it's like there's college and then there's pro. Not a lot of people go from one to the next, but there's at least that option. Like you put in that work to go to the next level. And then like wrestling kind of, except for like the Olympics or like UFC, or there's like Olympics or UFC, but once you kind of finish college wrestling, you're kind of done. Yeah. So my choice is, if I did college wrestling, where maybe I would have pulled it off and gotten into a pre-med school despite like how the schools were set up, but I ended up choosing to more secure like the kind of future I wanted, even though it kind of meant giving up wrestling. Which, have you heard from Prey actually? Are we gonna get a club?
I think we might.
Yeah, that's the last I heard was like we were waiting for the response. Yeah.
I saw him. I bumped into him yesterday, and he said, I think he said that he was still waiting to hear back.
That's what I heard last time I talked to him too. But no. So did that. Came here. Started doing jiu-jitsu. MMA. Did my first jiu-jitsu tournament over Christmas break.
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I heard you did pretty well.
Yeah, I took third in it. I did take third. I know that definitively. I'm trying to remember how many people there were. I want to say there was like, it was like 10, 12 people in that bracket, because it was a functional bracket. So I had like 6 matches that day or something, 6 or 7. And then, so I took third in that. It was interesting, because like, it was set up like a wrestling tournament. If you've ever been there, a bunch of mats, refs running at the same time, but like, the pace of it is different. Like, jiu-jitsu is a lot like short burst sport, I guess. Slower, more methodical, versus like wrestling, which is like go, 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 go.
Yeah.
So that was really different. It was different. It was interesting. I enjoyed it, but it was definitely different.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Do you think like, what would you say is like the difference between the people that you've wrestled or that you've like done jiu-jitsu with here versus like at that tournament?
I guess part of it between here. Again, depends a little on the individual. Some of the people here are pretty like serious, or I don't want to say serious, but they're like dedicated to learning and getting better at it.
Yeah.
And then like some of the people here are kind of just here for like a good time or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
And then so
Probably
like
me.
there, yeah. Nah, you're there working. It's good.
Okay,
like
that's good.
I won't say names, but like some people I feel like kind of just show up whenever, and then are like kind of annoyed sometimes when it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
But no, a lot of the people there were at least they were paying for a gym membership, so at some level they were dedicated to what they were doing. Yeah. The person who won my bracket was actually from Nebraska. Came down to Colorado for that. Yeah. I lost with like. That was an annoying one because like the clock had like 5 seconds left and he had me in a straight ankle, but it wasn't hurting that bad, but the score was tied at like, and I was like, well, I don't want to really hurt my foot, and I kind of just tapped out.
Oh.
So it was like, score's tied. It's not like I'm clinging on for a win or whatever. I'll just go into the overtime with a hurt foot.
Yeah.
So I kind of tapped out there, but a lot of them were more serious about it. A lot of them were. Everybody I went with was super friendly though. Like nobody was like mean, even when they lost to something stupid. Everybody was pretty friendly, nice to talk to.
Is everybody like around our age group?
No. So like the way the jiu-jitsu tournament was set up was, I don't remember what it was below, but like the groups I knew, my dad competed in it too. So the groups were like 17 to like, I want to say like 45 or something.
Yo.
Yeah, it was a big range.
Yeah.
And then there was like 45 to like 55, 45, 60 or something, and then like whatever that cutoff was upwards. So there was like 3 adult classes. So there was like a big age group. So I went with like 2 people. I think one was like 18, one was like 17 or something, and then like some of them were like 20-something. One guy was like 30-something.
That's so crazy. Yeah. I think it's similar because I did a lot of tournaments for Taekwondo, and it's very similar to that. Like, they have really weird age brackets.
Yeah.
And I think, like, when I was, like, 13, I was at the top. It was, like, 13, and then below it went to, like, 9 or something.
Yeah.
And so I was at the upper end of it, and I had to do like a really high kick, and since I had already like hit puberty, like I was going against a bunch of like real short, like
really short little people. Yeah.
It felt like
cheating.
Not fair. Like,
yeah, no.
But yeah, I feel like that's similar because in jiu-jitsu there's like the adults have like such an advantage because they're grown, you know.
But like I totally agree with you. Especially like younger, like because like they're growing a lot. I feel like at a certain point though, you can start to open up that age range because like to some extent at 17, 18, you've grown.
Yeah.
If not all the way, most of the way of what you're doing. So like you can kind of open that up a little more. Like somebody who's like in their 30s and somebody who's like in their 20s or whatever are probably to some extent like as grown as they're gonna get.
Yeah.
Like, once you start like lower 20s or whatever, I know my dad didn't stop growing till he was, I think he said like his junior year in college. So like some people keep growing for a while after that, but like to a certain point you're like grown. Like you've hit that you've hit puberty, you've got like a lot of the physical growth that comes with that. So even like, especially with like the weight brackets on top of that, like to I totally agree with you. There's definitely like a size discrepancy there.
For me, it's more like, if you're like 17, 18, 19, and you're going against somebody that's 26, like I mean, you're grown enough, you know what I mean? But like that's a different, like that's a man. Like that's somebody that's probably already out of college, and he's probably focusing on like life and stuff. He's already a man.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a different person, you know?
Yeah.
That's somebody right out of high school.
Yeah, I agree with you that like some point they've had like that time to mature, I guess is a good way to say it.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And more time to like focus on like all that. But like I agree with you, but like I guess from a mental standpoint, definitely agree with you. I guess I was arguing more like the physical standpoint.
Yeah.
Where like from at least like a body perspective, you're pretty similar at that point versus like when 9, 13, there is like a bodily difference that comes like year by year.
Yeah.
So like, cause like a big prepubescent kid could be equal to a kid who is in like puberty who's smaller. So like suddenly you got this overlap of one bigger prepubescent kid and one kid who's like in puberty and starting to get that like growth they need. So yeah, I would agree with you there on, I guess, both counts. Like physically it matters more when you're younger, and then like mentally kind of like it mentally is more of an issue when you're like older.
Yeah, 100% though. Yeah. Okay, I want to ask. Let me skip a little bit of this stuff. So coming to Creighton, I know like it's a little bit different. Did you go to like did you go to a private high school or?
I did go to a private high school, so.
Was it Jesuit or was it Catholic?
I went to a Catholic high school.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Can you kind of like describe what that was like?
So.
How big was like your class and all that?
Oh Lord, my class was teeny tiny, and by my senior year, because of like. So my graduating class was 52. I want to say it was tiny. And then like my freshman and like sophomore year, we were about the same size as the other classes, but then like kind of people started transferring out of the school because of COVID and stuff. And so by my senior year, we were about a third of the school at 50. I have heard that since then enrollment's gone back up, but like we were small. So like even though Creighton's technically a kind of smaller college, going from like 50 to 1,000 kids in my class was a big jump.
Yeah.
But I guess in terms of class size, Creighton has it laid out pretty well, even though most classrooms, except for like Gen Bio, don't really have more than like 20 kids in them. So even though like there was that big jump in terms of overall population, that jump of like class size wasn't that significant.
Yeah. That's gotta be crazy for like those big like lecture classes that you have, like the ones with like 50 kids. That's like the same size as your.
That's like my whole class. Like
your graduating class.
That's my whole class right there. I'm like, but no, it's definitely different. But like, I guess I adapted to it quickly. It's like it's just another teacher lecturing. There's just more students in the background.
Yeah.
So, it was. I guess a little bit of a culture shock, just like the number of people, and then especially because like I think everybody kind of experienced this. Like when you go to like high school or elementary school, a lot of the people are from your general area. Even if you go to like private school or whatever, they're from your general area. I was not. I was 45 minutes from my high school, but it was far. But even that, like everybody was from that general area. Like we all kind of knew the same places, had same experiences isn't the way to put it, but like we'd lived through the same experiences, I guess.
Like maybe you go to like the same like store, you get
same
food
store
after
or whatever,
school.
go get so like there was that kind of aspect of that. Like everybody was, I don't want to say the same, or like everybody's had their own experiences, everybody's a little different, but like from like geographical standpoint, like we had that like little Colorado. Can't see my hands. That little Colorado culture, like this was the little bubble. Area, the bubble. We all came from inside that bubble, and so to some extent, everybody was just events affected everybody, like butterfly to some extent, like
Yeah.
versus like you come to Creighton, everybody's from these different areas, totally different experiences. People have different accents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
like it was a bit of like a culture shock. It's like this. I grew up around people kind of like me my whole life, and then suddenly it's like, oh my gosh, there's people who lived with access to the beach instead of the mountains, and they grew up swimming. So like they're all of them. I have a couple of friends like that who are like, oh, I want to go travel to the mountains over summer or whatever, and I'm like, I want to go to the beach. Like I want to go.
Yeah, no,
I want to
I know
go
what
see
you
the sun. So like it's just like no, again, like no group's better or worse than the other or whatever, but like everybody's different.
Yeah.
And it was like a bit of a culture shock at first to see these people who like have like totally different views on like experiences, the areas they lived in, and all that kind of stuff. So that was.
I like it though. For me, I like it though because it's like, you're coming to this new school, a bunch of people you don't know. It's like a blank slate, so you can literally become like whoever you want. Especially like you're saying how like people that grow up different places, they have different like things that they like to do. Maybe here you can try something completely new. I see like kids joining like salsa clubs and like the Hawaii club or whatever, and like all these different clubs, and they're trying all these new things, even if they're not like they didn't come from that group or they didn't do this in high school, or you know what I mean?
No, I agree with you. I think it's an awesome experience. Like the college experience is a real thing. Like you definitely get to go through that and like experience it, and then like just meet new people, try new things. It's awesome. But again, like I know a lot of the people I talked to went through like the same thing when they first got here, and it's just like a quick like culture shock, and then like once you're kind of overcome that, it's a great experience to meet all these people, get these different perspectives, and like just get a better, I guess, understand. The United States is a really big place, and like not everybody here is from the United States. I know there's some foreign exchange students, some people from the DR, because we have a campus down there too.
Yeah.
But like the United States is a really big place, and I feel like, especially if you look at it like on a map, it doesn't look as big as it is.
Yeah. See, it's
so,
because
it's interesting
we have
to see like that thing. Like the United States, I'm pretty sure it's physically comparable to Europe, even if you don't count Alaska, like in terms of size. So it's like it's a big place. So it's interesting to hear from people from all these different parts of it.
It's like, I would say, it's like Europe. Like if Europe was like one country, like there's so many different like areas where people are completely different. You know what I mean? It's not. I would say not many countries are like that, with like maybe the exceptions of like China or India or other countries like that.
Like the really big ones.
Like the really big ones. But I think for us, it's because we have such like, maybe if you like look at like our government and our laws or whatever, because we're separated into states, and like each state, like we kind of take pride in our state. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to explain.
No,
here,
I get what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Like
each state like kind of functions
separately,
in a sense as its own like mini country.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. That's
it's like its own mini country. So like everybody grew up under like those different state laws or whatever, however that was. I never partook, but like Colorado was one of the first states to legalize weed. So I never did it, but I knew people who did. Like a lot of people had that as part of like their culture, I guess, growing up.
Yeah, I saw that on South Park.
Had access to it. Yes, South Park's a great example of it. But other states like Nebraska, it's totally illegal, and so like people never even like knew it. Like people smell weed and they'll be like, "Oh, what's that?" And I'll be like, "Oh, I've smelled that most of my life." Like you don't even like notice it sometimes. So it's interesting to like get that alternative perspective to point out things you don't even notice anymore because they're so commonplace to you.
Yeah, I think it's so wild because if you look at like maybe a country like in Europe, like maybe say like England, I don't think people from like the north and the south are as like drastically different as it is in the U.S. or maybe even like Mexico or like other countries like that.
No.
Even Canada.
And then Canada maybe.
Actually,
Canada's pretty big.
Yeah, you know
Canada's
what?
pretty
Canada.
big. But like, and then like also the other part of like the U.S. is like a lot of people come to the U.S. from like other prior backgrounds like Mexico, Canada, different parts of like South America, Africa. Lots of people come to the U.S. and then suddenly they're they'll end up in different areas. Like observation, but like there was a lot more people of I don't want to say Mexican, but of like Mexican, South American,
Yeah, like Latino.
Thank you, in Colorado than I've seen in Nebraska, and there's been I've noticed more African Americans in Nebraska than I have than I did in Colorado.
Yeah,
like, it's just like where people kind of end up. So
yeah,
it's just interesting.
That's
thing to
definitely
notice.
true.
Yeah.
Where I grew up in my town, suburb of Chicago, we had a lot of like Indian immigrants and Polish immigrants, which are like two like very like
different groups.
Nobody would expect those two. You know what I mean? So I grew up around Polish kids and Indian kids, and I would say a lot of my friends were either Polish or Indian. Also, I mean, we grew up in a very like diverse town. We had some blacks, we had some. In the town next to us, we had a lot of Latinos.
Yeah.
Lots of Mexicans and like everybody else. So, I would say growing up, I had a lot of like diversity, but I can notice like around here, there's not nearly as much. And I'm not one of those people that's like, I need diversity, I need all this, because it doesn't really matter too much for me. Like the diversity I see is like from where people are from. Like you're from Colorado. Like I don't think I've known someone from Colorado before.
No, I get you, and I agree. Like it's just like there's still like a lot of differences between people. The differences you just kind of, I guess, pick up on are different. Like people from all over the country, and then some people out of the country, you notice, meet, whatever. So it's like it's a different experience. Like there's still big bunch of different groups present that just, I guess, like the groups you're looking at have changed. So that, or if that makes sense, but
no, it does.
Yeah.
It totally makes sense. Yeah. So okay, let's move from, we kind of went from like talking about how your community was built up and like how you live like 45 minutes away from school. I kind of want to talk about like how many kids from your high school went to Creighton?
So from my high school, counting me, there were 5 of us who ended up at Creighton.
Okay.
So
how?
it's one of the great mysteries, actually, because like Creighton was not like a state school or something where you expect a lot of people to go there. Like I think there was 5 or 6 people from my class who went to like CU Boulder or whatever, and you kind of expected that. You're like, that's like the big state school people go to. But then like 5 of us just kind of ended up at Creighton, and I know some of us didn't even know all the others who were going until like after decisions were made. Like I knew one of my buddies was going, but I didn't know some of the other people who were going ended up here. So it kind of just, I guess, happened. A lot of us had like similar aspirations. I know like pre-med, nursing, pre-pharm, pre-OT. So like people were kind of like different medical routes, and like Creighton was kind of like that school that just kind of fit the bubble and conveniently was liked. Conveniently, Creighton likes to give out like scholarship money, which I know not every school does. So them doing that was kind of like, hey, look, have some money, and then I know some of my friends that ended up choosing Creighton over other schools because of scholarship money they got offered. So
I think a lot of people choose it for that. I want to ask, like, now that like you're here, and you were kind of talking about like with wrestling and all of that. I want to ask, like, do you regret, but like, are you happy with like choosing here?
I'm happy.
I don't know how to like word it,
I kind of get what you're asking.
I don't want to put it in like a negative way.
With the choice I made. I've enjoyed my time at Creighton a lot. I've enjoyed the people I've met. I've enjoyed the classes, I think, and the faculty. I think they're preparing me for the path I ended up choosing in life. I will always wonder what would have happened if I had gone to one of the other schools. I'll always wonder if I could have gotten an NCAA title, because like I had that opportunity, you know, that not everybody thinks about. Like they always talk about like, oh, only this tiny fraction of high school athletes end up going to college for sports. I ended up being in that tiny fraction. Like that was my option. So like I'll always wonder like what would have happened if I went to the other place, but I won't ever say like I don't regret my choice. I think it was a good choice. I will never know if it was the best choice, but I think I made a good choice, and I'm going, better or worse, it's the choice I'm stuck with. So we're gonna stick with, we're gonna hold out and see how everything plays out.
Yeah. I like that mentality too, because a lot of people, you know, like sit around and be like, oh, I should have never done this, I should have never done that. And at the end of the day, like, you can't change the past, you know, like, you got to move forward. It's all about, like, choosing what to do, like, in the future instead of, like, worrying about the past, you know.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do about, like, what happened. Like, you can, if you make a mistake, you can't undo the mistake, but you can maybe apologize for the mistake.
Exactly.
I can't unchoose Creighton, so I'm gonna make I'll make the most of my time here, doing what I can to secure my future and enjoy my time here, whether that's hang out with people, jiu-jitsu, MMA, hopefully wrestling. We're hoping we're hoping that comes out of this, but like just that opportunity to do those things and just like grow that way. So
if anything, next year, hopefully Prey is able to pull it off. For those that don't know, Prey was on like one or two Creighton episodes ago, I think. I don't know. 2 or 3. I don't know. I think it was Riley. I don't know if I did Jesse before, but yeah, I think he was like 2 or 3 episodes ago. Go watch that episode. It's really good. So I know I'm kind of moving into like the MMA like questions here. I know it makes sense why you chose to do like jiu-jitsu and everything, coming from like a wrestling background. And I know, like you said, with wrestling, some kids either want to be like college wrestling or Olympic, or go into the UFC. Yeah. So what got you interested in MMA? Is it that like idea, or is it just you want to be able to fight?
I don't think I ever wanted like that professional UFC aspect of it. Like, I think it would be like something cool to do, like participate in like, I guess, amateur UFC fights or whatever, but
yeah.
I guess the concept of it is pretty interesting to me, but also like I have a personal vendetta against being in a situation that I can't, to some extent, like, handle. Like, I don't want to end up, like, I'll use, like, different ones. Like, I don't want to end up in a test that I wasn't prepared for because I didn't study as one I think a lot of people can relate to. But I also don't want to end up in a situation where I have to do something and I'm not, like, physically strong enough, which is part of the reason I go to the gym. And then along that vein, I didn't want to end up in a situation where I had to fight somebody. And, like, I did a little karate when I was a kid, not much. And then, like, wrestling and jiu-jitsu. But, like, I didn't want to end up in a spot where, like, I was throwing punches and I had no idea what I was doing beyond, like, a little experience. Like, so I think it's a lot of fun. I love the pace of it a lot. And I love, like, now that I'm doing it, the reasons behind it are a little different, I guess, why I keep doing it versus why I started. Yeah. But I guess it was important for me to know, at least on the fundamental level, like how that works, and to like also just like a little bit of a pride thing. I wanted to know, like, hey, I can take a punch if somebody I can still take a punch if somebody throws it. Like, I needed to be aware of that and like know that. So like I guess that's kind of what got me to like sign up for it. Was like, it sounds cool, you see all these great MMA fighters, whatever, it sounds cool, but also like I just needed to know that I had that capability, I guess. I don't want to say that capability to beat somebody's ass, but like that that capability to take a punch and like throw a punch if
like
to stand my ground, like, and like stand the ground for the people I like care about. Like, I don't want to end up in a situation where like somebody needs like me to like stand up or whatever, or like one of my friends needs me to back them up and I just have no clue what I'm doing. Like, so that was important for me to be able to be there for the people who matter to me. Yeah, not just the confidence, but like also to be able to like, when the people who need something from me, to be able to offer that like success to them. Like, if I get my ass beat by myself, damn, whatever. But like if I get my ass beat and then one of my friends or like my sister or I don't know, somebody I care about gets beat up after or something because I lost, I needed to know like I put in the work beforehand to prepare for that situation, and then at that point there wasn't a ton I could do. Like, if like I lose to some random person because I didn't prepare, that would bother me a lot, especially if it hurt somebody I cared about. But if like 6 guys roll up and I prepared and I still get my ass beat, then it's like I did the best I could with the time I had. So like
Yeah.
I needed to know like I was eliminating the chance of defeat from under preparedness. That's not a great way to word
Well,
that,
no,
but
I get it though.
Yeah.
You explained it very well.
Yeah.
I have like this, because I was thinking about like, you know, the concept of, you know, being able to take a punch or whatever.
Mhm.
I have like this unhealthy thing of like imagining, I don't know if it's unhealthy, but like you see like bare knuckle boxing and
Yeah.
all that, like I feel like that's another level up because I'm so used to getting hit in the face now with like
A glove.
gloves and
Yeah.
like pads, you know?
Mhm.
And I'm like, okay, but can I take a punch from like just a hand, you know?
Mhm.
Like I know that's like not the best thing to
Yeah.
think about, and I'm not
I think
thinking,
no, I know exactly what you mean. I think about it too. I'm like, I can take a gloved hit, and like sometimes I don't know if it's happened. I assume it's happened to you, but sometimes you get nailed by a glove, and you're like, whoa.
yeah,
Like the glove catches you at the right angle, and it doesn't really cushion it too much, and you
Yeah.
can like. I've been hit a couple times, and I'll like feel the person's knuckle underneath,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, there it is.
even that, or if it's like
The-
well placed,
yeah,
if it
well
gets you in
placed,
the
like
shin.
jaw or whatever, and like makes it like rattle a little bit.
Yeah.
But no, I get what you mean. Like you wonder like you're like, okay, I can do this. But what about the next step? Like, could I
Yeah.
take that? And like,
I'm not saying that I want to join like any bare knuckle stuff.
I
I'm
don't-
just
yeah.
saying like,
I think my mom might kill me if I did. Like if I came back home and I have like this big ass scar from like
Yeah.
a bare knuckle punch just because I wanted to do that. But
Yeah.
like but like to your point, and then to the point I made earlier, you will like sort of wonder like, could I do it if I had to? Could I do it if like the situation rose? Like, I don't think you should go around looking for a fight. Like I don't think you should be like, yo, fight me, random person. But like, if that situation occurs, you always wonder like, am I gonna get punched and then just be like, damn, I was not ready, or
Yeah,
like, am I gonna
yeah.
get punched and I'm not gonna be able to throw a punch back? Like,
exactly. Because like
So-
you think about like, oh, I've always been able to take a punch with like cushioned gloves and whatever, but like
Mhm.
if I get hit in the face with like a bare hand,
yeah.
will that knock me out? Will I be done?
Like, and then to
Will I
some point
cry?
though, like, yeah, like to some extent, if you can, at least the way I reason through it a lot of times is like, if you can stand there and take a punch, even from like a gloved hand, like an MMA gloved hand,
Yeah.
even there's always the chance, even like look at the actual UFC, sometimes you just catch the wrong punch from like a gloved hand or
Yeah.
boxing and you get knocked out. There's always that chance it'll catch you weird and it'll knock you out. But like, I think about it from like a mentality standpoint. Like, how many people won't step in that room to actually throw a punch?
That's true.
How many people won't step in that room to take a punch? So like, physically, you gotta wonder like, how's the punch gonna land? Like, could you take like a straight in one on like the thickest part of your skull? Probably. I could probably do that.
Yeah.
Could I also get knocked out from one that caught me between the temple or like rattled my jaw or whatever? Also probably. But like, just doing MMA, I know that I'm willing to stand there and get punched. And I don't know if it's happened to you. I know I've knocked your contacts out a couple times.
Oh
but,
yeah,
like,
no, that was unfortunate.
but like, I've walked out of the MMA room before with like my face, like I've had like cuts on my face, like
Yeah.
burns from the gloves or whatever. I'm like, so I know like it's not like, oh, I'm getting hit with a pillow. Like I'm actually getting hit and I'm standing there
There's still
taking it
damage.
and still going for it.
Yeah.
So like, to that's kind of how like I reason through it. At least I'm like, I'll know I'll take that mentally. The question is just like, physically, will my body handle it? But like, you always hear people talk about it, how like the mind gives out before the body.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're willing to stand there and get hit, your body gives out before your brain does. Like, once you're knocked out, that's your body giving up. That's not really your mind.
That's true.
So like, if
Yeah.
like, yeah, so to like that point, I feel like at least I know I'll be able to stand there and like get hit. Not that I'd really let it happen, but like if it happens, like it's not gonna chase me off or whatever.
Yeah. You know what's funny? Like, I think on Thursday, have you heard of the movie Roadhouse?
I have heard about it. I've never
Okay.
seen it. But
Yeah, no, it just came out, like, I think on Thursday. My aunt sent me a text message. She's like, oh, you have to see Roadhouse. It's got Jake Gyllenhaal,
Mhm.
Conor McGregor. I had already been, like, planning on watching
Yep.
it, but she sent me the text message. And she was like, you have to watch it. Also, I don't want to see you do that. She's like, I don't want to see
Isn't
you do
there
that.
isn't there like an old? Sorry, I saw an ambulance. It surprised me a little.
Yeah.
Isn't there like an older Roadhouse that this is like a? I feel like there's
There
an
might be.
older
I'm
Roadhouse
not
that
sure.
this is like a remake of. don't quote me, I could be totally wrong, but I feel like I've heard of that before, like
the
fight,
name.
like a fighting Roadhouse movie.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm not sure. But, like, her point was because she knows that, like, I've been practicing MMA, and she does not want to see me get in the cage and all that. And, like, I basically just responded saying, like, oh, shoot, it's out already?
yeah.
You can get front row seats when I get my first fight. Yeah, it was so funny. And then I just thought it was so ironic because, like, I was talking to, like, Logan because for those that don't know, like, our friend Logan is he's been training for a while. He had his first fight in
It's the same day as my jiu-jitsu tournament.
Yeah, the same day.
I think would have been December 16th then.
Yeah, I think so. And so he has his second fight coming up next.
It's this month, I think, later this month.
Yeah, no, it's next Saturday, but I don't know like when this episode's coming out that Wednesday. So yeah, it would be that Saturday. He's gonna have his fight, and he's going against somebody that's got about 3 years of experience. But me and him have been sparring almost every day, and I think he's got it pretty. I think he's gonna be pretty good.
Sparred with Logan a couple of times. I roll with him. I don't know anything about the other person.
Yeah.
But like I think Logan definitely has the capacity to win. I think it's just gonna be will he go out there and like perform.
Yeah.
So he's definitely at least in the front of like putting in that sparring effort and everything and making sure he's ready. He's putting in a lot of time and effort. He's putting in the time and effort to succeed.
He definitely is. And outside of like practicing here, he's gotten in contact with like somebody like our instructor, his friend goes to like another gym, but he also has a mat in his house, and he just invites a bunch of his boys over, and they just like mess around and spar a bunch. So I've gone a few times with him, and it's been a lot of fun. And it's also a really good learning experience because you get to see like people that actually know what they're doing, you know. And there's some people that can really like knock you out if you're not being careful, you know.
Yeah. No, I have not had the privilege of going there yet, but no, I would believe it. Like basement rooms are typical, like in the house, roll around sessions are typically the ones where you learn the most and get fucked up the most. But that's the kind of it happens like that. My wrestling coach, we were in his basement for most of my time with him. Like. He had some mats down there. That's where we learned.
That's wild.
But, yeah.
That's pretty dope, though. Yeah. Okay, so I know, like, when I talk about the future, you know, on my podcast, I like to talk about, like what you want to do. So how far do you want to take, like, this? Like, how far do you see yourself, like, training and all of this?
From... Like, the one standpoint, I don't see a version of myself that ever quits some form of combat sport entirely. Like, I'd have to suffer a pretty traumatic injury to give that up. Like, no. I couldn't give it up when I quit wrestling. I couldn't give it up as far as I can see into my future. My dad's old. I don't want to do the math, how old, but my dad's old.
He's still doing it.
He's doing jiu-jitsu now. Like, I think... He might have been promoted actually recently, but I know he was a purple belt.
Okay, so
he might be a brown belt.
He could
now.
be a brown belt.
I would have to check that, but no. So he's doing that. He's like older. So like even if that's just jiu-jitsu or like joining a fight gym when I have more, when I have like some money or something, in some semblance, I'll always have to be. I think I'll always have to have that kind of combative sport just because
I know what you mean.
It's like I don't know, it's like it's not just like a mindset, it's kind of like a lifestyle. Like I remember after I like stopped wrestling before I came here, I had this little like gray area and I didn't really know what to do with myself. Like I went from still practicing 2-3 days a week and everything. Like I still went to the gym and everything, but I had all this, I guess energy is the word I'll use, though it's not quite the right word. Just like, and I didn't know what to do with it. Like, I didn't know what to do with myself. I was bored. I didn't know what to do without like fighting in some sense.
Yeah.
Like, and like I've played other sports and stuff. I did basketball in middle school. I'll play a game of basketball with my brothers and my dad. But it's like it doesn't produce the same effect for me.
Yeah.
And like I know
if that's some type of like primal like urge or something.
Yeah.
Like once you
I think about
fighting,
and like you got to keep going, but like also to some extent it's also like personality. Like I know some people who like can't imagine their life without playing basketball. Like to some extent it's different for every person, but you usually find that thing like you're like, I gotta do this. Like I don't know what to do with myself really if I'm not doing this, whether it's a sport or like I've met people who feel that way about like musical instruments, which baffles me. I don't understand. I don't nothing against those people. I just don't understand musical instruments. And like it's just like that thing they have to do it. I guess a good way to put it is it's like that itch you gotta scratch. Like you have to do it in some form, or like you don't really know what to do with yourself. So
I definitely agree, dude. When I went back for winter break, dude, I was like, because I had been used to like sparring like, every week, like at least once or twice a week, right? With either you or Logan or somebody else. Yeah. I don't think it's been to like the extent that it is now, because I swear we do it like almost every day.
We're just getting ready, but
yeah. Dude, you got to get in a session with us, bro.
You just stopped letting me know when they're happening. I don't know when they're going on anymore.
I got you, bro. I'll let you know, because...
Like, I'll see you guys down there sometimes. It's like, you get all...
Bro, come down.
Well, usually it's like right after I'm leaving the gym and I'm like smoked. Like, I never see you on my way in. It's always on my way out.
You know what? Because, like, I was telling him, I'm not the best at grappling. I'm kind of more, like, striking heavy. Like, I was telling him, like, he should get in there with you or like Creighton or somebody, you know what I mean? Just to like learn a bunch, but still I think he's gonna do pretty good in his fight.
I think so too.
What were we talking about like right before that?
We talked about like you were saying something about like how you didn't get to do like striking or grappling or whatever over break.
No, winter break, dude, I was so bored. Like I remember going to like the wrestling, like some high school wrestling matches to watch my brother, because he had just gotten cleared from his injury. It had cracked rib, dude. So it had just healed. He was just getting back into it, and I just remember being there and being like, man, I wish I could get back on that mat or whatever.
No, I was over winter break. I went to my dad's gym a couple of times to do jiu-jitsu, but like I think I went basically every chance I got. Like I went back to my old wrestling club. I like helped coach and like went around with people I knew. Like just got to roll with them. Like it wasn't quite the same. Like but it was like I was getting to do it. Like even like coaching, like it's not the same as doing it. But like I got to be there. I was on the mat. I was doing that. And it's like it was something I still had to do. And so like I love jiu-jitsu, love MMA, but I really loved wrestling. Like I don't know. That was like my thing. Like, and I think I don't know if I could ever feel that way about jiu-jitsu the way I did about wrestling, just because the pace is different. Yeah, like I think MMA has a similar pace to wrestling. Yeah, it's a really like you'll like slow down for a little bit, feel each other out, but it's like a really fast-paced sport. It doesn't like halt. I guess it doesn't slow down like once. Yeah, you start
like the
going.
Scrambles. There's not really scrambles in like jiu-jitsu, but
it kind of keeps going. So like I could see myself getting to that point with like MMA or whatever. Yeah. But I'm not there yet, so I just kind of it's like just miss wrestling. But
No, I definitely agree. But also, I bet like seeing the results pay off, like going to that tournament, that must have felt like really good after like going to like the club and then going to like, were you practicing at your dad's before you went to that tournament? Or
for the jiu-jitsu tournament? Yeah. No, I practiced with them. I think I got in like 1 or 2 practices because it was like right at the start of winter break. So I got a couple practices in, went there, and then I did some practices after. But like, it was good to like, because like the other thing you don't really think about though is like when you roll with the same group of people, to some extent you all improve at a similar rate.
That's
like,
facts.
You don't realize that because you're all growing at like such a the difference, like your ability to measure off other people doesn't really change. Like I'll just throw out numbers, but like if you were started at like a 5 and your buddy was like a 6, suddenly you're a 30 and they're a 31. You still got that the same difference between you two. You don't notice it, but then suddenly you roll with somebody who's like a 10, and you're like, oh my gosh, like when did I didn't know I was like this good at this. Or,
dude, that's.
It's like, so it was like, I think it was a good, like, I don't want to say reality check, but it like showed me how far I'd come. Like, because there was like, prior to this year, prior to doing all that, with wrestling, I could have gotten so far, but I don't think I would have done as well as I did. Like, it was good to have that, like, reality check to, like, look back and see, like, hey, look at all of this. And I kind of feel the same way when we have, like, somebody new walk into the room. Like, you'll roll with them usually, and you're like, oh, okay, you gotta go easy, but, like, because you know what you're doing, and, like, they don't. And so, like, you get that, like, again, like, you get that, like, like, that, I guess, relative value. Like, you get to see, like, hey, this much. And then, like, I think kind of back to what we were talking about earlier about, like, how only so many people can actually, like, walk into a room and take a punch. Like, only you don't really notice how far you've come, I guess, when you're with, like, people who've done it before. Like, I don't think any of us have had the opportunity, I guess, to spar with somebody who's never sparred before in a while. Like, we spar with each other a lot. We'll spar with, like, the people who, even if they, like not Sierra will show up. She's like smaller than us.
Yeah, but she's still.
She knows what she's doing.
Yeah,
like, so
she could kick like almost any dude's ass. Dude.
Yeah, so it's like, haven't had that, but I think about that too. I'm like, how far have I actually come in terms of like my MMA fighting? Like, because I don't have that, like, I guess, baseline anymore. Like, I have relative measurements, but I don't have that, like, baseline to see, like, where did I start, where did I come? So, like, it's, again, interesting. Like, you don't see that growth until you look from, like, the perspective of somebody who hasn't been growing alongside you.
Yeah, I definitely, that's facts. Weird analogy, but, like, since, like, the beginning of the school year, me and my best friend Miguel were playing, dude, we played ping pong, like, almost every day. It's like a Dagelman thing. Like, I don't live in Dagelman, but I hang out there and always playing ping pong in the basement. I know, like, when you came down there that one time, you saw, like, the ping pong. When we
first attempted this recording.
Yeah. For those that don't know, we had this is our redo because there is some major technical difficulties.
And I've been pretty busy, so I haven't been able to make it in. But
but I'm glad we got you in for a second attempt.
Yeah.
But yeah, what I'm saying is, like, he has gotten, well, when we first started, he was super good because I think he had, like, a tennis background or something. He played tennis a little bit. I know he did like golf and, like, track, cross country, some other stuff, but I know he did a little bit of tennis. And so he would just always kick my ass. But, like, ever since, like, a few months ago, like, I've been noticing that I'm able, like, people that haven't, like, played it at all, I can destroy them.
Like,
even against him, like, I'm able to hold my ground, which is pretty good. Like, we get close games. I think I've beaten him, like, once or twice. Those are, like, the best days, but you know what I mean? I think it's very, very similar in MMA where, you know, the people that put in the most work and, like, show up to, like, most of the practices, they definitely see the difference.
Yeah, especially, again, like, they'll, like, kind of what you're talking about, like, you still get those close games and he wins the most, but, like, when you win with people who hadn't done it before, you realize, oh, wait, I'm actually, like, I've gotten a lot better than where I was when I started. Like, you put in the most work and you make the most progress, and then but you don't always see it until you see somebody who hasn't done the same thing.
Yeah,
because, like,
I
know, like, both jiu-jitsu and MMA here, there's this little group of people who always seem to show up, and then every once in a while you'll get somebody extra. So, like, you don't really see that growth.
I feel bad for that person.
Yeah, you don't always see that growth as much because there's not, like, that, I guess, baseline to look at. Like, the difference between us is all, like, it'll get, some people have good days, some people have bad days, but, like, we're all still really close in terms of how well we do. So it's like, you don't always see how much difference there is between all the groups.
And I think there's also the thing where you were talking about earlier, like, if you ever get in a situation where you have to fight, that's got to make you feel better knowing that you've had so much experience now that against somebody that's untrained and is trying to start a fight, you can completely destroy them.
Yep. And to some extent, like, I don't know if you've noticed this, but, like, how you, like, carry yourself, I guess is the best way to put it, but, like, how you carry yourself changes. Like, people who, like, people who know they can whoop your ass typically, to some extent, give off that vibe. Like, this is the kind of person who, at the very least, believes they can whoop
so
your
true.
ass. And sometimes you'll look at people who act that way, and you kind of like laugh at them because you're like, you look at them and you're like, they're not really that.
Yeah.
But then like, I don't know if you've ever seen like the UFC interviews after the fights or whatever, but they'll talk about the people who be like, you can like see the power or like the strength radiating off these professional fighters. Like even if you haven't seen them in the ring, like they're the kind of people who like walk around and you're like, oh shit, don't piss that person off. Like,
it's like seeing a wolf walk around like a bunch of sheep.
Yeah, like, they're like the person.
It's the way they can. It's the way that they talk. Their words have like power. It's crazy, dude.
And like you'll see them walking or whatever, and it's like that, and like to some extent, like I know people who don't always like pick fights because of that. Like they'll see somebody who knows what they're doing, and like I knew like some people, like I know somebody back home who can like doesn't like fight, but like they can kind of like flip that switch. Like they don't fight, but they did wrestling or whatever, and they can kind of like, they seem like this cool whatever person, but they're chill with their friends or whatever, but like suddenly like somebody's bothering them or whatever, and then they're like the dude's Russian, he's huge, but he's like super chill, but then like
the guy's like Spider-Man.
He'd be like this, he's this big scary dude all of a sudden when these people are bothering everybody. Like, so to some extent, like I don't know if you've noticed that, but like people, like how people like react, I guess, can change around you depending on like how you carry yourself, and like doing jiu-jitsu and MMA, like I guess gives you the confidence to carry yourself that way. It was a really long-winded explanation, but
100% though, because like I know lots of like UFC fighters, like if you look at I don't know if you know like Alex Pereira, very chill, very laid back, you know, and other people like him, and then you got like the other spectrum, it's like Conor McGregor, like, very loud mouth, but if you see him after his fights, he's very respectful. Even if he wins, if he loses, you know, he's like, it's a good fight, you put up a good...
And to some extent, that's like more of a personality than like a fighter thing. Like some people are loud and some people are quiet, but like... I never been in the room, but like of those like quieter variety, I feel like you'd still know like this is like the kind of person who has it in them to like beat up on you if they have to. Like...
And I think the way that I fight, I know a lot of people get annoyed with it, but I talk a lot, dude. Yeah. Especially when we're rolling. Like I know Sam will get really pissed, but like if we're rolling, I'll talk. Like, dude, I remember I was going with Harrison. I was talking about like Ninjago, like talking about like random things.
No,
and
when
it's
I'm
always
like
the funnest thing.
Training, I'll do the same thing. I'll just talk about whatever. Like I did it. I haven't again like. Competing, it's a little different. Like you don't know the person, but like when you're like rolling with friends or whatever, training, like you like just talk. You're there improving yourselves. But it's like to some extent, like it's like a pickup basketball game. Like a bunch of people just talking, improving, and then like suddenly. So again, we talk when we roll. I talked with my friends when I did wrestling, but then like you compete and it doesn't happen as much.
Yeah, I think it's because you get comfortable with like those around you, like in your group, you know. But like. Once it gets to like that competition, you get really uncomfortable if the other guy starts talking. I think I've tried doing that, like in a wrestling match, trying to like provoke a conversation, and it just doesn't work. Just don't do it.
No, I don't think I've ever tried to provoke one in a match. Like I'll talk when I'm going with friends, but whenever I'm competing, I'm like just quiet. Like but no.
I know I've been an asshole a few times, pardon my language, but like. You know, have you ever been in like, you're trying to pin the guy and you're like, bro, just lay down. Yeah. Have you ever like verbally like told them?
Not in a competition. Like I've thought it. I'm like, Lord have mercy. Why won't this person lay down?
Yeah. I'm like, dude, give up.
It's like I'll like look at the score. It's like 13-4 or whatever. I'm like, dude, you're getting.
They have like 20 seconds.
Yeah. There's like no time. I've had it happen earlier. Like.
Yeah.
I've been like first period, I'm up by like 10 points or something, like usually early in like tournaments or getting somebody who doesn't really know what they're doing. They just won't get pinned. And you're like, I don't want to just let you up and down and just win. I don't want to like tech fall you, but just like lay down. But like you're being really annoying. To some extent though, it's like, it's annoying from like your perspective, but it's like also respectable. Like they're not giving up.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So
I was about to say that too.
Even if they're not succeeding, they're not like giving up, and like I think that's probably more important.
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of person who can like improve later on, is the person who just like won't give up. But
100% though, I agree. Okay, so I want to move on from like MMA and kind of like just kind of like get like a deeper conversation going. I know we're at about an hour 5 right now. So just like hopefully get some deeper conversations, like some concepts and stuff. Kind of moving on from MMA, do you think like violence is essential for a society to like move, you know what I mean?
I don't know. I think that's a tough one. I think I'll say this. I think physical violence isn't necessary, but I think violence in some form is necessary. Like competition, I think, is like competition, and like that back and forth struggle, I guess, is like fundamental to like nature, I guess. Like if you look at any thing ever, it's trying to get the leg up on all the other living things ever. Yeah. So like I don't know if like physical violence is essential for a society to grow, but like people have to be competing, whether that's even if that's not physical, like way back in I don't know, ancient Greece or whatever, physical competition was how people improved.
Like gladiators.
Like gladiators, wars, like physical conquest wars of like the Greeks going wherever to get stuff. That was like how their society grew. Now, as like for a society to grow in an individual, that competition I think is usually like less physical. It's like who can, for like a society, it's like which society can make the new technology first, like new microchip, fastest car or whatever. But like for individuals, there's like that also that competition, who can, this is gonna sound bad, but like who can make the most money. Like there's I feel like that there has to be, I guess violence isn't the right word, there has to be some sort of struggle or competition, conflict, even if it's not a physical one, in order for a society to grow. Because when there's no pressure, there's no reason for a society to grow. Yeah. So even if that pressure comes internally from competition or like externally from another place, there needs to be that like struggle and conflict. And then that, I guess the way my wrestling coach always put it was like that violence of action. Like you have to take, even if it's not violence, physical violence, you have to have that like violence of action. You have to make it happen. Yeah. In order for like a society to grow. Because have you ever heard like the quote that necessity is the mother of change, or the mother of growth, or whatever?
No, can you explain that?
So like I don't remember who said it, but like the way it literally is, like necessity is the mother of growth. You will never grow and change as much as in a moment where you need to. So like I'm trying to think of like a more historical, I guess a historical example would be like when I think we were the first, when like America we made planes. When Germany like weaponized planes, I think they were the first to do it. We had to learn how to weaponize planes. Yeah. Or when a new code was created, you needed to find a better way to break codes, so that like there's that necessity is the like mother of change, is the way the quote goes, because once there's that need, like not like a want, but like a need, like it has to happen or everything's gonna fall apart, you're gonna find a way to make it happen.
Yeah, it's like the Cold War. That's like exactly what happened. Like everybody wanted nukes,
and then they had them, and then so you needed a bigger bomb. So like it just kept going up. Like
that's crazy.
That need sparks change, whatever that may be.
I definitely agree with that. That's a crazy quote.
Yeah,
I might turn that into a clip or something. I think, because like if you look at nature, there's violence everywhere. Everything's changing. Even like if you look at like a waterfall, that's conflict. If you look at a tree growing, like it's spreading out its roots, it's destroying all other trees. It's literally violence.
And like that's kind of the point that I was, I guess, trying to make, is like physical violence is the, I guess, most rudimentary form of like conflict and growth, and that's what you see in like nature. But like people have like, I guess, civilized isn't the right word, but like evolved and like civilized their society enough where physical violence isn't usually the way you do that anymore. So that same competition exists, but now it's in like a different form.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that, like right now, a lot of it's like online. Like there's cyber violence, cyber bullying, you know. But you know, whether it's like you're fighting to get attention, fighting to get like followers or views or likes. Like, I think that aspect is a little bit violent. Like, there is some violence.
Yeah. It is violent. It's not physical violence, but it is violence.
If you look at it under that scope, which is, I don't know. I think if, like, the world was not violent at all, it'd be, like, very, like, boring. You know what I mean?
Boring, and nothing would, like, really change. There wouldn't be a reason for it, which was, again, why I said that quote. If there was no need for change, nothing would change. A different quote, but don't fix what's not broken. Like, if there's nothing wrong with something, it's not going to be changed or fixed. So if there wasn't that conflict of trying to, like, improve, then there wouldn't be a need for change. So, like, I guess, if that makes sense at all. But I'm trying to figure out another way to word it. But I'm like, I don't think I can word it another way that'll, like, make any more sense than the first.
No,
right?
you definitely explained that really well. Okay. So we talked a lot about violence and like the concept of needing change, or when you need change, that's like when things change, you know what I mean? Okay. I've got two things here. They're two separate stories that I remember you telling me. I just want like a repeat kind of.
Got it.
You haven't told them on the podcast.
Got it.
Yet.
Yeah. Okay, so like first take stories that didn't end up going. These like from the first take. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So the first one is the stairwell story, which is when you got a haircut.
Yeah. Okay. So way back at towards the it would have been August, wouldn't it? Like whenever lip sync was, but whenever we started school, we had this thing, blah blah blah. Anyways, we were coming back and everybody was taking the elevator. And I live on the top floor of my building, which is 9 up, and I was like, I'm never going to get on this elevator. So I took the stairs. And then on the 3rd floor, posted up in the stairwell was some person with a sign, and they're posted up, and their buddy was holding the sign, and it was like, let me buzz your head for $5. And I was like, oh. And I was like,
pay me.
I was like, you will pay me to get a haircut. You can kind of tell it here. My hair's still pretty short.
Is that your last haircut or the same one?
I got a different haircut over spring break.
Okay.
So this is it was pretty recent, so my hair's still pretty short. But the buzz cut is the hairstyle I have chosen to rock through my life so far. I grew my hair out once. I did not like it. So I continue to buzz my hair. So I was like, wait, so this guy will pay me money to give me the haircut I get normally, but a little shorter. And I was like, okay. And so fast forward a little bit, the dude gave me $10 to no guard buzz my hair. So I was like, I had like the shortest little hairs ever, basically bald. And so I got a lot of my friends were like confused or whatever. They were like, what the hell? I was like, dude offered me $10 to cut my hair. Like,
that's
I was like, I can get like a haircut and a half with that at this point. So it was funny. A lot of jokes. Took a while for my hair to grow back.
And what's funny is like we got to know that kid after. Right?
Yeah, we did. I think it was Micah.
Yeah, didn't you?
I think it was Micah. It was Micah. No, but yeah, he was the one who like cut my hair and like gave me $10 to do it. I was like, awesome. Didn't see him again for like ever until like we met him at jiu-jitsu. But like he was the one who cut my hair and it was like super short. All my friends were like laughing. And it was early in the school year, so suddenly I was this like dude, like
the buzz cut kid.
Yeah, I was the buzz cut kid, but I was also like this kid with like super like prison cut basically.
Yeah.
Full beard, like depending on what I was wearing, you could see my tattoo. Like I'm reasonably muscular, like not crazy.
So a badass.
Yeah, but like I literally talked to a bunch of my friends, then kind of not sure people, and they were like, we're going to die this year. This person will kill us. Like they thought everybody was like scared because I was like, it was just like the look. Like I don't know, and I have horrible RBF, but
what is RBF?
Resting bitch face. Like
okay.
When I'm not like actively, when I just like let my face go limp, like I look like I'll try to do it at the camera. I don't know if it'll catch it as well as like you can probably see it better in person.
It's kind of
like
a glaring.
Yeah, I look like I'm gonna kill somebody if I'm not like actively talking or whatever. It's just how my face sits. But like that coupled with like short hair, beard, like muscles, and like tattoo, and I wear like a lot of like tank tops.
Yeah, especially at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, when it was warmer. So like suddenly I looked like I was going to like kill everybody. Not saying that as like anything towards me. Like people came up and told that to me, and I was like, yeah, I could see that. That was probably not super great, but like
for $5 though.
I got $10.
Oh yeah, $10.
I got 10. So like it was worth it. I laugh at it now. I know my mom was like, oh, I don't know if that was a good choice. I was like, yeah, but like $10 and a haircut. So to that extent, like it's funny. I laugh at it now, but it was like it definitely I think had some influence on my early interactions at the school. So,
but it adds to the lore. You know?
Yeah.
Can you explain? Actually, wait, I wanna go off of that story a little bit. Do you think you would ever go bald?
I don't know if it'll happen in college, but there is a reasonable probability I might try it sometime. Like I don't think I'll ever get rid of. I really like the beard. I hope my dad has a better beard than I do. I'm hoping mine grows in the rest of the way like his did. But I think at least if my beard grows in like full like his is, like he has like the whole beard. Like one of my friends described it as like a mountain man beard. Like he has like that full beard. Like, yeah, the full beard. So like I think if I ever got my like a full beard like that, there's a chance I'd like cut it off here and like try bald. But I'm not gonna say definitively yes, and I won't say definitively no, but there is a chance that I may go bald one day. By choice, not by genetics.
They sell like what's it called? I don't know if you were paying attention to this, but I did a giveaway like over winter break for
I saw
Christmas.
It. I don't remember. I didn't see what everything was. I knew there was like a blender bottle or something.
One of them was like a beard kit, and it had like this. I think it had something that made it like grow in more full.
Growth? Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, what that is. I think I might try that stuff one day, but like part of it is like I tried a beard summer of my junior year. It was not great. So I think like part of it is like just I'm not. I guess the best way to say is I'm not like old enough yet. Like so I think it'll just be a time thing.
Yeah.
We'll see. Because even like since the beginning of the school year, my beard has grown in better. So
yeah, I definitely.
I had like even little patches. Like I had like a little cut off like there. That's like pretty grown through now. So
yeah, I try to keep it pretty well shaved just for the podcast.
Yeah, no.
Like, for the most part.
I like the beard. I think it looks good.
Yeah, no, it definitely looks good on you. It definitely does. Yeah, I think so. They have like the growth thing, and I think there's like, have you seen like the roller thing that like you rub on your face like this?
No, I haven't seen that.
I think it's supposed to do something with like the hair follicles or some like fancy stuff. But
who knows?
Yeah, I don't know.
The other reason I keep the beard is my roommate can't grow one no matter how hard he tries. So I like to I like to give him a lot of crap for it. I'm like, haha. He's like, he'll say something to me, I'll be like, yeah, but I got a beard, so where's your authority?
Yeah, dude. Okay, so moving on from like the stairwell haircut situation, can you explain the skiing story?
Oh, which one was that?
I don't remember.
Damn.
I know that it's a skiing one.
I've been skiing a bunch, so I don't remember specifically. I guess I could talk about like generally skiing because I don't remember which one that was.
Was there like an accident?
I've had a couple accidents skiing.
Okay,
like,
that sucks.
When I was younger, I didn't really know what I was doing and got on a hill that was a little too difficult for me. I ended up slamming into a tree.
Oh.
I almost broke my arm. Like, I think I didn't end up, but like my one arm that I ended up hitting was like 3 times the size of my other one when it was like fully swollen up. It was bad. So there was that. I had a friend who broke his leg skiing and didn't find out for 2 weeks. Like he walked on it for 2 weeks. He was like,
which?
Like I'm fine, blah blah blah. Like,
it wasn't like the femur.
No, it was like I think it was his tibia or fibia, one of the two. But
dude, femur breaks are like
crazy.
Dude,
that's femur breaks are like car accident stuff.
Yeah,
like that was a very traumatic thing, or like you have like a brittle bone disease.
That's
or
supposed
something.
to be like one of the worst pains a human could suffer.
probably I would believe it, but no. So like, there was that. I've been skiing. Yeah, I did that. I broke my boot on the mountain one time.
Your
like,
boot?
Yeah, some dude hit me from behind. Like skiing, you have like boots that go into the skis to like the special boots. They lock you in there.
Yeah.
I don't know who watches. Some people may have never been skiing, but somebody hit me from behind and like twisted the clasp on my boot, and so I like couldn't get this boot on the ski, or on. I could get the boot on the ski, but it wasn't like tight on my foot anymore, and so I was just kind of like trapped there because my boot wasn't. When my buddy was with me, he called his dad. His like dad came up and like, it was like I was young, so I couldn't do it myself. But he like bent the clasp back straight and then got it on there. I was able to go down. Trying to think of other ones. There's just like general skiing, whatever. One time I was like going through like a little trail in the woods, and this literal leash kid, like his mom was behind him. He had the little backpack on with the leash. This kid came up behind me. Nobody said a word to me. I wasn't trying to go quick or anything. It's like through the trail. There's like little jumps or whatever. I was having a good time.
They were just walking?
No, they were like skiing. But like I was going through this trail, and they came up behind me. They didn't make any noise or anything to let me know they're coming because it's like a narrow trail. And they didn't say anything. And this kid slams into me from behind. And then the timing of it was like at a turn, and I go through the ski fence, like under it, into like feet upon feet of powder, and I'm like buried, like I like literally buried under the powder, and I'm like super. You can't. I don't know. They don't get a ton of snow in a lot of places, but like powder doesn't really hold weight well.
Yeah.
So like, there's been skiers before we get like buried and they can't get out. So like. Luckily, it wasn't that bad, but I like got out, and I just see this kid going down. His mom's just looking at me. Like, her kid just, like, threw me into the powder and, like, trapped me, basically. And, like, I couldn't stand. Like, the powder was so loose, I couldn't stand. So I, like, literally had to, like, pop my skis off of my feet in the snow, like, throw them, and, like, belly crawl. Because if I stood up, I sank deeper.
Yeah.
So I had to, like, belly crawl back. It was just on the hill, so it was, like, this pretty steep. Not maybe, like, this steep or something. And I was, like... trying to crawl up through this powder, throwing my skis every time I caught up to them to get out. Never saw that mom or kid again, which might have been for the best. But I was pretty mad. I was like, "What the hell?" And I like,
because
there wasn't any service on the mountain or anything, so I couldn't call somebody for help. Like I was just trapped. Like I had to like crawl out. It was that.
That sounds awful. No, that's like a life or death situation.
It wasn't that bad, but it could have been. Like if the snow had been deeper, or like if the kid had hit me, and because like the fence, I went like under the fence because the snow was like.
If you had hit the fence.
Like not kind of. So like the fence is like, it's like a mesh, like a plastic mesh. Yeah. So it's like it's pretty good at stopping you, but because the snow was so deep, I hit the mesh, and then like fell on my back and went through the powder under the fence. Ooh. So like the fence physically stopped me, but it wasn't low enough to like keep me there.
Okay.
So, like, the situation I went through was fine, but, like, the circumstances could have been worse. If the powder had been deeper, I might have gotten stuck. Or if, like, the kid had hit me and I had gone through the fence on, like, near, like, an edge or something, I could have gone, like, flying off a mountain or something. So, that was more annoying, but it had the potential to be really scary.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, I've been, since then, I think the only other, like, noteworthy skiing story beyond like just skiing with my family and racing and whatever was I went skiing with my uncle came out to visit us one time, and I went skiing with him, and my goggles broke, and so like whatever.
I think I remember.
Yeah, you've probably heard this one, but like I just took them off. I was like, they're goggles. It's like it's not like it's a snowstorm right now, whatever. I don't really need them. That was not the smartest decision. I ended up getting really bad like windburn and like reflected sunburn on my face.
Yeah.
And that next day, by the time I got home, I had like pieces of my face like literally coming off.
Oh my gosh.
And I couldn't open my eyes or anything. Like it burned super bad. I was like, oh. So I was like incapacitated for a while. It like started to heal, and then like my skin was like, like really bad sunburns where your skin gets like super flaky and you have, like these big flakes coming off. It ended up like that. But like fast forward, I cannot feel temperature on my face anymore. So like it'll be super.
I remember you telling me.
Yeah, it'll be like cold and windy or whatever, and if it's in my face, I just don't like. I'll feel the pressure from the wind, but I don't like feel the temperature really anymore. Like and like so like the tip of my nose sometimes feels it, and like my ears feel it, but like the rest of my face doesn't really get it.
Yeah.
So it's like and I can't feel sunburn either. Like it's not like just cold. Like I can't really feel heat or anything either. Like my face gets tight when I get sunburned, but I don't like feel the sunburn. It doesn't hurt. So on the one hand, it's like kind of cool. It's like I don't really work. It's like, oh, like my face is fine. Yeah. But on the other hand, it's like that means there's nerve damage. Yeah. So there's that. It's not good. Yeah. But
yeah, I think that was
that was probably it. Those are like the only like standout ski stories I have. So.
I know. That kind of reminds me of like my injury when I was doing wrestling. I don't remember if I told that on here. Not wrestling, but like the jiu-jitsu one where like I was put in a triangle choke.
And you didn't tap out?
I did tap out.
Oh, okay.
I don't understand, dude. I didn't even pass out. I felt like I could go like a few more seconds, and I tapped, but like as he let go, I went like my body went almost completely numb, and I couldn't feel like anything. And I was like, I think it's, what do they call that? Like autoerotic asphyxiation or whatever it's called.
I don't remember what it's called, but I had like a similar thing, I guess, kind of, but with my leg. Like
What?
Came back from work one day, bone tired. I think it was like I worked 13 hours or something that day. I was exhausted. I was like literally took a shower, laid on my bed, went to sleep. It was like 8 o'clock. It was like 9 o'clock at night or something. It was ridiculous. I fell asleep like on my leg at like a really weird angle, so it was like trapped. And then I ended up cutting off circulation to my leg. But I woke up in the middle of the night. I was like, I don't know why. The mystery to me as to why I woke up, but it was good. I was like, I am on my leg. And then I realized I could not feel my leg. And then I realized I couldn't physically move my leg. Like I couldn't flex the muscles or anything.
Yeah.
I think it was like midnight or something at this point.
That's scary.
So I ended up having to like straighten my leg with my hands.
Yeah.
And then like immediately, it was one of the worst pains that I had ever felt in my life. It's like all my nerves and everything came back online. It was like zapping, stabbing. You know, like when your foot's asleep?
Yeah.
It was like that, but way worse up my whole leg.
Oh my gosh.
And then I like started to be able to move it again, but it hurt and it was horrible.
That sounds terrible, dude.
Yeah. But so that happened. It was zero long-term things, but it was like not fun. But yeah.
That sounds, dude.
And then kind of like to your thing, you're like, oh, I can go a couple seconds. Like when you're in practice, you're like, oh, I can go a couple seconds, but I'll tap just to be safe.
Yeah.
In my tournament, actually, kind of jumping back a little bit, but like it was my fourth place match, and I was up. Jiu-Jitsu doesn't have like a mercy rule like wrestling does. Wrestling, you're up 15 points. Tech fall, it's over. I think I was up 19 points on this kid. And I like messed up and I got caught in a guillotine.
Oh.
Like I was in guard, guillotine, whatever, and there was like 25 seconds left or something in the whole thing.
Oh shoot.
And he started going.
So you had to try to figure out a way out?
I like tried, it wasn't going. I wasn't getting out. I was like trap. And like my dad and his buddies, because I registered under their gym, were like counting on the sideline. I was like focusing on those numbers for dear life, but I literally, it was like, it clicked in my brain. I was like, I am going to pass out before I tap out here. Like I was like, I'm not going to be up 19 points and lose by tap. And like my vision towards the end like started to close in. I literally, this is partly like how I think a little bit, but like I saw the numbers like flash in my brain. Like I saw like a big old bubble 5, big old bubble 4.
You started hallucinating.
Well, kind of, but like also not really. Like I think a lot in words. Like I know some people like say tree and they think a tree.
Yeah. I
think like the literal letters tree and then the physical
That's
thing.
rare, you know?
Yeah. So that's kind of like just how I think. I didn't realize, again, you don't think about how other people think, but I had a teacher in high school who like asked. He was my Spanish teacher who was like kind of trying to point out like how language is like a construct to explain things. So he's like, when I say this word, do you see the word or do you see the thing? And I was like the only one who said they saw the word.
Yeah.
So like that's kind of when I realized that. Yeah. But then like I was like, I might have been hallucinating a little bit because there was like I was like my vision was narrowing in black and I just saw these big letters. I was clinging on to their words for consciousness, but time ran out before I blacked out.
Oh, so you did?
I did win that match.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
Yeah, I won that match. So if it had been maybe 5 seconds longer, I don't know if I would have, but I clung on to their word. I don't know if I would have done it if they weren't counting either. because it felt like an eternity. Like I was like, oh my Lord. But they were like counting, so I think that probably got me through it. But
yeah, dude, what the heck, bro?
yeah, don't recommend that.
I was expecting you to say that you tapped at like 20 or something.
No, I went like 25-ish seconds in a guillotine.
Oh.
And like 20 of them were pretty rough. But
yeah. Was it like was that one a blood choke or like a crank or like?
It was like a blood choke. Like it wasn't. My neck was fine, but like it was like vision coming in. I was like, oh Lord,
man,
please.
No, that's the worst one.
I was like, yeah, like I don't know. A crank would have been rough because it would have sucked more later.
Yeah.
But like the blood choke, it was like my vision. I was like, oh no. I was like,
yeah.
please.
Yeah. That's what happened to me though. Yeah. Mine was pretty bad. Yeah. Okay, so. I'm gonna wrap this up obviously because we're at about an hour 30. I like to ask like my final question as always is, do you have any advice for anybody that's listening or watching on YouTube? Do you have any advice to give to them about like life or whatever you want, honestly?
I guess this is different than what I shared the first time, but I'll share two pieces of advice my wrestling coach gave to me. And the first one is that your attitude equals your altitude. However you, and I'll explain a little bit, but like however you interact with like a situation, however you can't change what happens to you, but you can change how you react to it, I guess, your attitude towards it. And if you take it and like internalize it and it's like, oh, it sucks, whatever, then you're not gonna do a ton with it. But if you like take it as like a learning experience or whatever, you can grow and you'll get higher up, which is the altitude part of it. So like attitude equals altitude. And then kind of in the same vein, but a little different. And this is kind of this is kind of one of the quotes I try to I remember throughout my life. But like he told me that life promises you opportunities, but not outcomes. And that you kind of it's up to you to do what you will with those opportunities. And I want to Steve Jobs. I was going to say Warren Buffett, but it was Steve Jobs kind of said the same thing. He's like how there's a lot of people have the same opportunities, but people either miss them or let them pass by. And so like I kind of think about that. Like I've definitely nobody in this world has been able to take every opportunity given to them, but like it's up to you to like see those opportunities, I guess, and capitalize on them when they're there. So whatever that may be, whether that's in like a chance to participate in a sport camp or like a chance to go spend more time with your family or whatever. Everybody has a chance for something in life, but like it's up to you to like seize that chance. And not everybody gets the same chances either. Like I never in my life had the opportunity to be the inventor of the cell phone. So somebody else had that chance. And somebody took that opportunity and capitalized on it.
Yeah, that's true.
So nobody gets the same opportunities, but like the people who seize those opportunities get the outcomes they want, I guess. And that is applicable not exclusively to money, but like to family, to sports, to whatever. Like so that I think that one is the bigger of the two, is that life promises you opportunities, not outcomes, and it's up to you to like do what you will with the opportunities you get and to like try to notice them.
That was very well worded. I love that.
Well, I can't claim the quote. I've thought about it a lot, so I'm able to explain it pretty well. But that was his quote that he told me. I think his coach told it to him. But
yeah, so it's like a hand-me-down
quote. Yeah,
hand-me-down quote. No, that's really good though, because I see a lot of people that like to complain about the situations they're in or like where they are in life and all of that, and if you're sitting there complaining, you're not taking advantage of opportunities that you're given.
And I feel the same way, but I also like try to keep in perspective at least that some people don't like most people I'll say this, most people in America have the opportunity to go out and at least financially improve their lives. Like it's a very open job market. There's a lot of opportunity if you're willing to put in work. Even if it's not the work you would enjoy the most, even if it's not your dream job, you can go out there and improve that. Versus people in like Asia, Africa, those like small little isolated villages, whatever, they don't always have that same opportunity. So I try to keep in perspective like, hey, there are definitely people who complain and could improve their life, and there's also people who don't have that same opportunity to improve their life. Like the people in the middle of, I don't know, the Amazon, that little tribe isn't going to be able to massively improve their life. They don't have that opportunity. But the people the dude who's at home 30 years old sitting on the couch in his mom's basement has that chance to go make something if they go look for those opportunities or see them when they show up. So I agree with what you said, but I would also say, like, keep it in context, because not everybody has those opportunities. Again, everybody has opportunities, like I said, but not everybody has the same opportunities. So, like, those people we were talking about can spend more time with their family or maybe improve some skill they have, but they may not have that financial upward mobility that some people have. So
no, I definitely agree.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to thank you guys for listening to this episode. This is our first episode after the 1-year anniversary. So I want to thank you for getting on, obviously.
Yeah, I'm glad I was finally able to make it back.
It's been crazy.
I've been busy, like,
with midterms, and then obviously
finals,
there's finals like last semester.
Midterms, finals, sports, going home, making plans with friends and everything. Like, this has been busy.
It's been pretty crazy, dude.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, I mean, going through everything that we talked about, we had an amazing conversation. Obviously about, like, talking about wrestling, MMA, jiu-jitsu, violence as a concept, and then, you know, talking about, like, skiing, and then, like, your haircut story and all of that. And I honestly think this was a really good conversation we had here.
I agree.
So I'm gonna drop it on Wednesday. Awesome. And I just want to thank you for getting on, bro.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Goal Swole Podcast. If you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure to drop a like. And if you plan on listening to any future episodes, make sure to subscribe and click that notification button.